remembering those that perished on the sinking of the RMS Titanic on April 15, 1912. The information provided was obtained and used from findagrave.com. This video contains passengers with the last name starting with B. The remaining passengers will follow shortly. Raffel Bakos, age 20, born in Syria. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling with several others from his village. Raffel perished in the sinking and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Carl Alfred Backstrom, age 32, born in Finland. He was a third-class passenger and boarded the ship with his pregnant wife and two brother-in-laws. All three men perished and bodies were never recovered. However, his wife did survive. Carl's occupation was listed as a general laborer. The next victim is Mohammed Badr, age 39, born in Syria. His occupation was listed as a farmer. He boarded the Titanic as a third-class passenger. Mohammed's body was never recovered. The next victim is Percy Andrew Bailey, age 17, born in England. He was traveling to New York City to visit his uncle before going to Akron, Ohio. Percy initially booked on the White Star Line vessel Oceanic, but transferred when his friends were booked on the Titanic. He was a second-class passenger and held ticket number 29108. Percy sent his parents a postcard and shared a cabin with two other men. None of the men survived. He had gotten hired on as an apprentice butcher in Ohio. The next victim is Charles Robert Bainbrigg, age 23, born in Guernsey. He was a second-class passenger and held ticket number CA31030. Charles had traveled to the United States in 1905 as a tourist with his sister. She stayed in the United States, making her home in Minnesota. He traveled back to visit her in 1909. Charles had booked a ticket on the Olympic, but embarked on the Titanic instead. He was heading back to Minnesota for another visit. His body, if recovered, was never identified. Charles' occupation was listed as a horse trainer. He is remembered on a plaque with other Titanic victims in Guernsey. The next victim is Sarim Bakic, age 20, per the cenotaph in Bosanska Krupa. He was born in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Sarim died in the sinking of the Titanic. The next victim is Solomon Bainwer, age 42, born in Lithuania. He was a second-class passenger and his body was never recovered. Solomon's occupation was listed as a merchant. The next victim is Ugo Banfi, age 24, born in Italy. His body was not recovered or identified. Ugo's cenotaph is located in Italy. The next victim is Frederick James Banfield, age 28, born in England. His occupation was listed as a mining engineer in Reno, Nevada. Frederick had returned home to England for a 3-month visit with his wife. His travel destination after boarding the Titanic was Michigan. Frederick had family there and was going to work at the mine. He was a second-class passenger with ticket number CA34068. Frederick's body, if recovered, was never identified. His cenotaph is in England, on the family gravestone. The next victim is Catherine David Barbara, age 44, born in Syria. She was a third-class passenger with ticket number 2691. Catherine was traveling with another woman, possibly related. Her body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Said Barbara, age 17, born in Syria. She was a third-class passenger with ticket number 2691. Said was traveling with another woman, possibly related. Her body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Julia Berry, age 30, born in Ireland. She lived in New York, but returned back to Ireland to take care of her sick mother. After her mother passed away, she boarded the Titanic, traveling back home. Julia perished in the sinking. The next victim is David John Barton, age 22, born in England. He was a third-class passenger and his body was never recovered. The next victim is Reverend Robert James Bateman, age 51, born in England. Robert was a reverend and a stonemasoner. He traveled with his sister-in-law, and they were second-class passengers. Robert's body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett, and is listed as number 174. His sister-in-law survived the sinking. Robert was buried in Florida, and a cenotaph was presented by the Woodsman of the World. It is located in the same cemetery, but is not located near his grave. The next victim is Risto Lalev Batashev, age 22, born in Bulgaria. He boarded the Titanic with ticket number 349217, a third-class passenger. He was traveling to Chicago, Illinois. Risto's body was never recovered. The next victim is John D. Bauman, age 48, born in California. He was a businessman in New York, New York. John's company name, John D. Bauman and Company, imported rubber, timber, hemp, jute, and gum. John was 5'9", an oval face, dark complexion, with brown eyes and black hair. He was a first-class passenger, with ticket number was PC17318. John placed his wife in the last lifeboat. He went down with the sinking and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Quig Edmund Baxter, age 24, born in Canada. He dropped out of college to pursue his athleticism. A member of the Montreal Amateur Athletic Association, he played football. In 1907, Quig played one season with the Montreal Shamrock Hockey Club. After an accident that cost him the loss of sight in one eye, he returned to coaching in Switzerland. In 1911, he returned back to Canada playing hockey again with the Oxford Canadians. Leaving Brussels, he boarded the Titanic with his mother and sister. He did not tell his mother that he met a 24-year-old cabaret singer there, and she accompanied them on the ship. She was booked under an assumed name, and Quig had intentions of marrying her in Montreal. He boarded his mother in lifeboat number 6 and said, "Goodbye, keep your spirits up, everyone." That was his last words. Quig's body was not recovered. His cenotaph is on the family monument in Montreal, Canada. The next victim is Narciso Bazzi, age 33, born in Switzerland. His body was not recovered or identified. Narciso's cenotaph is in Switzerland. It was originally placed in the grave chapel of the Bazzi family in the old cemetery. It was relocated in 2014. The next victim is Rashid Bazzi, age 31, born in Syria. He was a third-class passenger and was traveling to Michigan. Rashid perished in the sinking. The next victim is Thompson Beatty, age 36, born in Canada. He was in partnership and opened the Haslam Land Company in Winnipeg, Manitoba. 5 years later, he was so successful, he bought a substantial house that he shared with a medical doctor in an upscale neighborhood. In 1911, he was elected as mayor. After traveling aboard on the Franconia for a winter vacation, he decided to return back home on the Titanic. He wrote his mother 3 days prior to his departure. Thompson was a first-class passenger, with ticket number 13050, in cabin C6. They do believe he was on the roof of the Titanic, near where the last available collapsible life raft was. Thompson made it in the raft, but died of exposure. A month after the disaster, the Oceanic discovered the raft bobbing in the open sea. Thompson was buried at sea on his mother's birthday, almost at the same spot where she had been born 82 years earlier. His cenotaph is on a stone in the family plot in Ontario. The next victim is Henry James Beauchamp, age 43, born in England. He was a second-class passenger, accompanied with another male. Henry's ticket number was 244358. His body, if recovered, was never identified. It is believed that his body was number 194 and recovered by the Mackay Bennett. The next victim is William Thomas Bevan, age 20, born in England. He was a third-class passenger, and his body was never recovered. The next victim is Johan Victor Bengtsson, age 26, born in Sweden. He worked in a sawmill but also took part in railway construction in Denmark around 1909. Johan was a third-class passenger and was traveling to Illinois to visit his brother. His family thought he had been saved, but a few weeks later, the final confirmation of his death came from White Star. Johan's body was never found. The next victim is Carl Ivan Sven Berglund, age 22, born in Finland. He was a third-class passenger and his body was never recovered. Carl's occupation was listed as a general laborer. The next victim is William John Berriman, age 22, born in England. He was a second-class passenger, and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Seaman Bestros, age 10. He was a third-class passenger and his body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Tannaus Betros, age 20, born in Lebanon. He was married and had 3 children. Tannaus was a third-class passenger and reportedly was fleeing Lebanon due to the ongoing Turkish Ottoman rule. He was accompanied by several people from his village. His body, if recovered, was never identified. One of Tannaus' daughter passed away within weeks of his death. Tannaus' occupation was listed as a shoemaker. The next victim is Hans Martin Monsen Birkeland, age 21, born in Norway. He was a third-class passenger and his body was never recovered. Hans' occupation was listed as a seaman. The next victim is Jacob Birnbaum, age 24, born in Poland. His body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 148. On May 6, 1912, his body was forwarded by Red Star Line to New York City and repatriated to Belgium on the Vanderland. Jacob was returned to the Netherlands to receive eternal burial rites, a Jewish requirement. Jacob's pocket watch is on display at the National Maritime Museum in Greenwich, London. The next victim is Ernst Heribert Björklund, age 18, born in Sweden. He was a third-class passenger and his body was never recovered. Ernst's occupation was listed as a general laborer. The next victim is Stephen Weir Blackwell, age 45, born in New Jersey. After graduating from Princeton, he worked in connection with his father's grocery business. Stephen's wife, age 24, had just recently passed away. He felt a vacation would do him some good. He was a first-class passenger and held ticket number 113784, cabin number T. Stephen traveled with 2 other men. Although a body, initially identified as Blackwell number 241, it appears his body was never found. Stephen's estate was estimated between $110,000 and $200,000. The accident insurance policy paid $33,000 and was among the top 3 highest amounts that were paid out. His cenotaph is in the family grave in New Jersey. The next victim is John James Borbank, known as Jack, age 42, born in England. He lived most of his life in Toronto, Canada, and was a real estate broker. For 10 months, he had traveled with his wife and 8-year-old daughter. They stayed in England while Jack was returning back to Canada. He was traveling first class and held ticket number 11049, cabin D22. Jack's body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Genco Bostandief, age 25, born in Hungary. He was a third-class passenger and his body was never recovered. Genco's occupation was listed as a general laborer. The next victim is William Hull Botsford, age 25, born in New York. He was an American architectural designer of the famed Nicholson Viaduct. It is a historic civil engineering landmark. William was also a member of the Narratan Fire Company No. 9 in Ithaca, New York. He was a second-class passenger. When the distress alarm sounded, he helped the cruise ship employees in getting the passengers off the ship. When no more lifeboat and life jackets were available, William jumped off, in an attempt to save his own life. William's remains were not recovered. A dual-person headstone was arranged by his sister, where his name is displayed in memory on a cenotaph. The next victim is Hannah Boulis, age 17, born in Lebanon. He was a third-class passenger and traveling to Canada. Hannah's body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is the Burke family. John Burke, age 42, born in Ireland. Catherine McHugh Burke, age 32, born in Ireland. John and Catherine had barely celebrated their one-year marriage. They were accompanied by John's sister Mary and Catherine's niece Anna. They were traveling to Chicago, Illinois. Mary Burke, age 40, born in Ireland. Catherine and Mary were offered a spot in a lifeboat, but refused to leave John. John, Catherine, and Mary perished in the sinking. Their cenotaph is located in Ireland. The next victim is David John Bowen, also known as Di, age 20, born in Wales and was married. He was a professional middleweight boxing champion from Wales. Di was traveling to the United States under contract for a series of boxing contests. His ticket number was 54636 and was accompanied by another male. Di wrote a letter to his mother dated April 11, 1912 and stated the following. "This is a lovely boat, she is very near so big as Trey Herbert." He was a third-class passenger and his body, if recovered, was never identified. Di's cenotaph is located in Wales. The next victim is James Holland Bracken, age 29, born in Kentucky. He had land claim of 160 acres in Lake Arthur, New Mexico. James was in London on business, and was traveling home to his wife in New Mexico. He was a second-class passenger and his body was never found. James' cenotaph is located in Kentucky. The next victim is John Bertram Brady, also known as Bert, age 41, born in Washington. He was the vice president of the Pomeroy Savings Bank and relocated to California after his mom and sister had been injured in the 1906 earthquake. It is not known where John was traveling to or from, but he was a first-class passenger, and his body was never recovered. His cenotaph is located in California. The next victim is Ellen Esther Maria Braff, age 20, born in Sweden. She was a third-class passenger and her body was never recovered. Ellen's occupation was listed as a servant. The next victim is Emil Franklin Brandeis, age 48, born in Wisconsin. Emil traveled to Europe every year. After visiting family members, he was planning on returning to the United States in May. Emil decided to return 2 weeks earlier. It was falsely rumored that he tried to sneak onto a lifeboat by putting on a dress. He was a first-class passenger and his body was recovered by the McKay Bennett and listed as number 208. Emil's occupation was listed as working for the family department store called J. L. Brandeis and Sons in Omaha, Nebraska. Emil was buried in Omaha, Nebraska, and one of his brothers died 2 months after him. The next victim is the Brond brothers. Louis Richard Brond, age 29, born in England. Owen Harris Brond, age 22, born in England. The brothers were third-class passengers, and their bodies were never recovered. Louis's occupation was listed as a farm laborer and Owen's occupation was listed as an ironmonger, otherwise known as a hardware merchant. The next victim is Dr. Arthur Jackson Brew, age 45, born in Ireland. After receiving his degree in Dublin, he moved to New York, then relocated to Philadelphia. Arthur's medical practices served some of the city's best-known millionaires. He had traveled through Africa, Rome, Naples, Florence, and Paris. Arthur perished in the sinking. The next victim is José Joaquim de Brito, age 40, born in Portugal. He was a second-class passenger and held ticket number 244360. José's last place of residence was in London and he was traveling to Brazil. His body, if recovered, was never identified. José's occupation was listed as a merchant and he was married. He died the day before his birthday. The next victim is Carl Rudolf Broback, age 22, born in Sweden. He was a third-class passenger, held ticket number 350045 and was traveling to Massachusetts. His last occupation was listed as a painter and janitor. The next victim is William Alfred Brocklebank, age 35, born in England. He was a third-class passenger and held ticket number 364512. His body, if recovered, was never identified. The next victim is Thomas William Solomon Brown, age 60, born in Africa. He boarded the Titanic with his wife and daughter. They were second-class passengers and held ticket number 29750. The family was traveling to Seattle, Washington. Thomas's wife and daughter survived the sinking, but he did not. His body, if recovered, was never identified. His occupation was listed as a hotelier in Africa. The next victim is Kurt Arnold Gottfried Brill, age 25, born in Sweden. He was traveling with his sister and future brother-in-law. They were second-class passengers and was traveling to Illinois. His sister said that he was wearing a gray speckled costume. She survived, but Kurt did not. His occupation was listed as an upholster. The next victim is Catherine Buckley, age 22, born in Ireland. She was a maid for two elderly ladies, and decided to visit her sister in Massachusetts. Catherine booked to sail on the White Star liner Kimrick. Catherine's sister paid for her ticket. Due to the coal strike, she became a third-class passenger on the Titanic. Catherine's body was recovered and listed as number 299. She was sent to Boston for burial. Catherine's parents blamed her sister for her death. They refused to see her when she returned to Ireland for Christmas. The Titanic International Society provided Catherine with a headstone. The society listed Catherine's date of birth incorrectly on it. She was born on March 6, 1889. The next victim is the Bulis family. Sultana Rizk Bulis, age 39, born in Lebanon. Son, Akar Bulis, also known as Aki, age 9, born in Syria. Daughter, Nurulain Bulis, also known as Laura, age 7, born in Syria. The family was traveling to Canada and were third-class passengers. All three were lost in the sinking and their bodies, if recovered, were never identified. The next victim is Jeremiah Burke, age 19, born in Ireland. He was traveling to Massachusetts with his cousin. They both perished in the sinking. In 1913, a message in a bottle washed up at Dunkett, on the banks of the Glanmire and Lee Rivers. The Burke family was notified and it was confirmed to be Jeremiah's handwriting. His mother gave Jeremiah the bottle of holy water the day he left. The note was carefully framed and remains a treasured heirloom in the family. The note has a date on it, but it is unclear. It appears to be April 10, 1912. And reads as follows. From Titanic. Goodbye, all. Burke of Jeremiah Book. The next victim is Mary Delia Burns, age 15, born in Ireland. She was a third-class passenger with ticket number 330963 and was accompanied by her two friends. Mary was traveling to Brooklyn, New York, and was hoping to get employment as a housemaid. She could have gotten on a lifeboat, but decided to remain with one of her friends. they both perished, and her body, if recovered, was never identified. Her cenotaph is in Ireland as well as her epitaph. The plaque at the cemetery has since disappeared. The next victim is Reginald Fenton Butler, age 25, born in England. He was wearing a black suit, gold watch and chain. He had a silver cigarette case, gold matchbox, knife, fountain pen, a memo book and an Oddfellows stud along with a letter case and pocketbook with £60 or $80 on him. Reginald was a second-class passenger and his body was recovered by the Mackay Bennett and listed as number 97. Reginald was buried on May 3, 1912, in Nova Scotia. His occupation was listed as a mechanical engineer. The next victim is Major Archibald Willingham Butt, age 46, born in Georgia. He was a major in the United States Army and had served as an aide to Presidents Theodore Roosevelt and William H. Taft. Archibald and his companion have a cenotaph in common, erected in President's Park, in Washington, D.C. The next victim is Father Thomas Russell Davids Biles, age 42, born in England. His brother was getting married in New York and Thomas was asked to officiate the ceremony. Thomas was a second-class passenger and held ticket number 244310. As the Titanic was sinking, he gave words of consolation and encouragement to the women and children as they got into the lifeboats. His body, if recovered, was never identified. If you like this content, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel at MeTime806. Thank you very much.